Hello, good morning everyone. I once again welcome you all to the fourth chapter of SCD subject, that is Special Semiconductor Devices. So here in this chapter we will be studying the some special kind of semiconductor devices like UJT, SCR, diac, triac, and some special category of diodes like varactor diode, gun diode, Schottky diode. So we will be discussing the construction as well as their characteristics as well as their applications also. So let's begin. The very first special type of semiconductor that we are going to study in this chapter is the unijunction transistor. So a unijunction transistor, as a name, as it is a class of transistor, it has three terminals. But the thing is, it has only one junction. There will be only one PN junction will be there. Hope you have seen in the BJT there were two PN junctions, but here there will be only one junction will be there, and it is of three terminal semiconductor device. And here the three terminals of this UJT are designated as base 1, base 2 as well as emitter. So as earlier I told you, since it has only one PN junction, it is also called as a unijunction transistor, or it is abbreviated as UJT. Let us see the construction. You can see the construction here. So in the construction, basically we take a lightly doped N type of slab or N type of bar, and two metal contacts are made. Two metal contacts are made at the top as well as at the bottom. One is referred as base 2, another one is referred as base 1. So there will be two bases will be there, two bases, and here a heavily doped P type of material or P type of semiconductor is diffused into this lightly doped of N type of semiconductor bar, which will form a PN junction. So it forms a PN junction. Here there is only one P type of material is there, and the center slab is of N type. There will be there will be a single PN junction will be there. That's why it is named as a unijunction transistor. So remember, so as this emitter is diffused here at the N type of bar, remember this emitter is slightly, it is closed towards the base 2 region, not towards the base 1 region. In the diagram we will show it is equally bisected, but actually this emitter terminal will be close to the base 2 terminal than the base 1. Okay, the symbol of the unijunction transistor, it is shown here. So this is the emitter terminal, this is base 2 and this is base 1. So here you can see the current direction. The current will always flow from emitter to base 1. So that's why the arrowhead, it is towards the base 1. So why it flows towards the base 1 only, and why it doesn't flow towards the base 2, we will see it in its operation. So once you see the construction diagram, you can say if you represent this construction with an equivalent circuit, then it is represented like this. So this is the base 2 terminal and this is the base 1, and the emitter is of P type. This is like a diode, because you can see here. So this is a P type of material and this is N type of material. This is the equivalent circuit will be a PN junction diode. Since this entire length is lightly doped, since it is a lightly doped bar, it can be represented by a resistor. It can be represented by a resistor, since single resistor, but since this single resistor is bisected by the emitter terminal. Let's show it here. Let's say this is an N type of bar. It is shown like a single uniform resistor. This single uniform resistor is bisected. It is bisected into two holes, the first hole and the second hole. The resistor that is towards the base 2 terminal is referred as, it is denoted as RB2, and the resistor which is towards the base 1 is denoted by a letter RB1, RB2 and RB1. As you can see here, the RB1 is a variable resistance, and remember RB1 will be always greater than RB2. Why? Because you can see here since the uniform resistor is bisected, but the emitter is, since the emitter terminal is closer towards the base 2 terminal, you can see the length of the resistance here is small. This length is small here, whereas this length is large here. The length of the resistance that is towards the base 1 region is large. So since the resistor wire length is large here, or you can say the resistance is directly proportional, it is directly proportional with the length of the material. Since the length of the resistor towards the base 1 region is more, you can say the RB1 is always greater than RB2. So let's write it here. RB1 will be greater than RB2 because of its length. Since the length of the resistor towards the base one is high, that's why this is greater here. And the RB1 is a variable resistance, or it is a variable resistor, because the resistance of RB1, it varies according to the emitter current that flows from the emitter to base 1 terminals. So here there is a current called as IE. So as and when the IE increases, the RB1 value changes. So that's why it is represented with a variable sign here, or you can simply tell it as a variable resistor whose resistance will be varying. Okay, and here we should discuss some important terms that are related to an equivalent circuit here. So let us discuss one by one. The very first one is the interbase resistance. So remember, let's make some changes here. Let's erase all the things which I have done here. Let's say there is an voltage source that is connected between base 2 and base 1. So let's say base 2 is made positive with respect to base 1. We apply potential like this, and we keep the emitter terminal open, or you can say the IE is kept 0. So in order to keep this IE to 0, there should be no potential that is applied between the emitter and base 1, or simply you can omit it. So let's say it is not at all connected. So here now if you see the equivalent resistance here, equivalent resistance is nothing but, since the RB1 and RB2 are assumed to be connected in a series fashion, so the equivalent resistance will be the sum of these two, that is RBB will be equal to RB1 plus RB2. So let's say this is RB1 and RB2. So this RBB is referred as interbase resistance. So let us try to find out what is the voltage drop across RB1. We won't calculate the voltage drop across RB2, because our current will always flow from emitter to base 1 terminal. So I want to know what is the voltage drop across RB1. So let us find out the voltage drop across RB1, which is nothing but VRB1. So VRB1 is as per the Ohm's law. That is, the voltage is nothing but the V will be always equal to I into R. That is the current flowing through the resistance and the resistance value. So here, since we are let's say I is the current that flows through the RB2 and RB1. So if I want to find out the value of voltage drop across RB1, then it will be equal to I into RB1. I into RB1. What is the value of I here? I is nothing but, again from the Ohm's law, I is nothing but, as we know that I will be always equal to V divided by R. V divided by R. So as we know that we have applied a potential of VBB across these two. So V will be equal to VBB, and about R is nothing but the equivalent sum, or you can say the equivalent resistance of the circuit is nothing but the sum of the sum of these two resistance which are connected in series, that is equal to RB1 plus RB2. So if you write this once again, V is nothing but VBB. So V is nothing but VBB. VBB divided by equivalent resistance, that is equal to RB1 plus RB1 plus RB2, and this is multiplied with as the RB1 here, RB1. But as we have seen here, the equivalent resistance or interface resistance is given by RB1 plus RB2. So this equation can be rewritten as like this. So here RB1 divided by RB1 plus RB2 into VBB. This entire term can be represented with a symbol called as eta, and the VBB is written as it is. So eta into VBB. What is this eta? Eta is nothing but intrinsic standoff ratio. So finally, the voltage across RB1 is found out to be eta into VBB, and this is written here. Let me erase this all once again. So the equivalent circuit will look like this. So we have found out the voltage across RB1, which is equal to eta times VBB, that is written here, eta times VBB. And let us consider the voltage across the diode, which is nothing but, or the barrier potential across the diode, which is nothing but VD. It will be 0.7 or 0.3, depends upon whether it is made up of silicon type of material or whether it is made up of germanium type of material. So we have found out the voltage across RB1 keeping the emitter terminal open or keeping I value equal to 0. Let us see the working now. So as you can see here, in the equivalent circuit diagram, we have connected a VBB potential between the base 2 and base 1, and an emitter voltage VE is applied between the emitter and base 1. So here VE, this VE value, it is used to do the forward biasing of this diode. The drop across VD is found out to be VD here, and the drop across RB1 is found out to be eta plus VBB. So whenever this VE value is less than this VD plus eta VBB, there won't be any IE current flow from emitter to RB1. So means to say, as long as the VE value is less than VD plus eta VBB, you can write it here, VD plus eta VBB. So as long as the emitter voltage VE value is less than the sum of these two, there won't be any current flow. Let us assume that for our case, let us assume that the voltage across this one is 10, and VD, let's say it is 0.7. So totally it becomes 10.7. So initially, let's say VE value is kept on increasing from voltage 0. So let's say its value becomes 1 here. 1 is again less than 10.7. So I mean to say this diode is reverse biased, not forward biased. This diode is reverse biased because this potential is 10, and the potential here it will be 1 volt. Let's say initially it is increased to 1 volt. So 1 is here and 10 is here. So I can say the N type is more positive compared to the P type, or I can say the diode is reverse biased and current will flow initially in the reverse direction, that IE current will be negative. So as long as the VE value is less than this eta VBB, this diode is reverse biased, and the current I will flow in the reverse direction. Okay, let's say once this VE value is increased to a value 10, okay, remember this point is also at 10 voltage and this point is also at 10 voltage. Now since these two points are at the same potential, the diode now it is not at all biased, or you can say there is no current flow at all, and the I current will be equal to 0. I current will be equal to 0. You can see here. So initially current will flow in the negative direction. Let us discuss this again in the next session. So here let's say it is 10 and it is 10, both are equal to each other. So then since these 2 points are at the same potential, there won't be any current flow. I will be equal to 0. Let's say if this E value is increased, let's say to a value 11 volt. Let's say to a value 11 volt. This 11 volt is more than 10.7, or you can say this 11 volt and this is at 10 volt, means now the diode is forward biased, or you can say diode will be forward biased. So once the VE value becomes greater than VD plus eta VBB value, the diode is assumed to be forward biased. And now, one second, now current I will flow from emitter to the base 1 terminal, that is through the RB1. So as we increase, this I current will flow like this. As V value is increased beyond VD plus eta VBB, I current goes on increasing. I current goes on increasing. As we already discussed, that this RB1 is a variable resistance. So since the special characteristics of UJT is, it is going to show the negative resistance characteristics. Negative resistance characteristics in the sense, as the current through RB1 increases, the voltage across RB1 is going to decrease. Voltage across RB1 is going to decrease, and this won't be decreasing for infinite number of times. This will be decreasing for a certain amount of time. After that, that is nothing but after a value point. After value point, again this RB1 will remain constant. It won't be decreasing further. So once it becomes constant, the UJT will be driven into saturation state, where both IE as well as V both are going to increase. Now you can expect a question, why the current IE won't flows through RB2. You can see here. So since the current is flowing from emitter to base 1, why it doesn't flow to base 2? Because remember, so we have applied a potential VBB in this fashion, that is uh, base 2 is made positive with respect to base 1. Since it is of type of P type, so as it becomes forward biased, holes are emitted into N type of bar. So since holes are emitted, so holes will initially move in this direction also, as well as in this direction also. But since the holes are of positive charge and the base 2 is again of positive charge, there the holes will get a repulsion force from base 2 region. That's why all holes will move towards base 1. That's why you can say the current will always flow from emitter to base 1. So this is the working principle. Let's see the characteristics initially. So this is an IV characteristics of UJT. So here there are three reasons of operation: cutoff region, negative resistance region, and saturation region. So as I earlier told you, so the uh, so here the characteristics are I versus V, not V versus I, because uh, here I is taken along the x-axis and V is taken along the y-axis. So as we seen in the working here, so as long as V value is less than VD plus the drop across diode and the drop across RB1, that is eta VBB, the diode is reverse biased. The diode, let's say, the diode is reverse biased and current will flow in the reverse direction. So that's why you can see the current is here. So as V value increases, as V value go on increases, the current, reverse current, it goes on decreasing. The reverse current, it goes on decreasing. So you can see here reverse current is getting decreased, reverse current is getting increased. sorry, the voltage is continuously it is being increased. At the same time, the current, you can see along the x-axis, the current is getting decreased. The reverse current, or you can say that is due to minority charge carriers is getting decreased. This is the point, this is the point, as I already told you, this is the point where the V value will be equal to eta VBB, eta VBB. So as I told you here, whenever the potential at this point, that is VE, will be equal to the potential at this point, that is eta VBB. Since these 2 points are the same potential, current through will become 0. You can see here, this is the point where the current is 0. And whenever VE values further increase, and whenever it becomes equal to V equal to the VD plus eta VBB, VD plus eta VBB, or sometimes this term can be represented with a single term VP, that is peak voltage. Whenever this V value is equal to VP, the current is maximum, the current is maximum, and this is the point where V will be equal to VP. And here the corresponding current is referred as peak current, that is IP, and the corresponding voltage is referred as V voltage is referred as peak voltage. So if V value is further increased, let's say V value is further increased than the peak voltage, now the current is going to decrease, but the voltage it keeps on increasing. So you can see here, current is getting decreased, current is getting decreased. At the same time, the voltage is continuously being increased. So this region of operation is known as negative resistance region. So current is getting constant increase here, but the voltage, you can see along the y-axis, voltage is continuously getting decreased. So this is because this resistance, the RB1 resistance is a variable resistance. It keeps on decreasing its value until a point. That point is referred as valley point. So till the resistance decreases to a certain value, after that the resistance becomes constant from this point. So the device is driven into saturation, where the current also increases as well as the voltage also increases. The point, this point is referred as valley point, and the voltage, corresponding voltage is referred as valley voltage, and the corresponding current is referred as valley current. Again, after this point, the device is driven into saturation, and this region of operation is known as saturation region. Until this point, and the current is very minimal, or it is sometimes it is also referred as a negative current is observed, and this region is known as cutoff region. Thank you.